Actually, editing was always been a woman's kind of role, not a man's role. Then later on, like it changed. But I never had people coming to me or messaging me or slipping in my DM, a group of friends that you do work with. Here it was different because I came back. I didn't have that click.
لفيت الكون ما في منك ولا حدا زيك انت زي الفل احلى من الفل عشانك بسير
Hello everyone and welcome to episode 3 of Unscripted. Today we are excited to be joined by an inspiring Emirati director who is also a scriptwriter and TV presenter. She has brought stories to the screen such as the comedy film Al Aidan and has written award-winning scripts like Noor, as well as directing several films that have been recognized internationally. Her vision continues to grow within the industry. Maitha Alawadi, it's an honor to have you here with us today on Unscripted. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for having me. What a great time to start the day like this, talking to you and being back in AUD to discuss film, the things that we are all passionate about.
Great. So let's jump right into it. So Maithas, let's start from the beginning. What first made you choose filmmaking and especially directing from such like a broad field? And how did you decide that this is what you wanted to do?
Well, funny thing is, I never wanted to be a director in the beginning. I actually went to university to study animation because I loved anime. I loved drawing characters and delving into a new world, a fantasy world. I'm a big fan of Harry Potter, reading books. So I wanted to always, I used to always visualize them and I put that into paper. And I always wanted to kind of create characters that will be seen in Pixar, in DreamWorks. Those were the aims, or in Ghibli Productions, which like Ghibli Studios, which is my favorite type of kind of films that come out of that. The stories of humanity, but through drawing. And that's what I went to university as. But in my university course, I did multimedia design or digital media design. It was later talked, and I did a minor in film and television. And during that time when I was abroad, I learned about myself because I was a very introverted person. And when you're introverted, you don't want to be on the spotlight. And being a director, you need to be a leader. You need to talk. You need to command the set. You need to be able to communicate that. And I was a very shy person. I wouldn't even pick up the phone if someone called me at home. And I wouldn't call my friends because I was afraid someone else will pick it up. So that's how, introverted I was. And when I studied abroad in Australia, I was 16 years old. I had to get out of that comfort zone to push myself out, and it was a big struggle. But when I did that, I discovered that I don't want to be hidden away in a studio sketching and drawing characters for other people to lead. I wanted to be the one that leads, and that's how I got into filmmaking, and that's how I got into directing. And the thing that really resonated was in one of the filmmaking courses, they asked us to pitch an idea. And I pitched my idea, and I didn't think it had any merit. But I remember 5 people from my class stood up and chose my idea, and we went out and made my idea as one of the 5 ideas from that class. And I felt that, wait, my ideas are valid. People are enjoying what my head is coming up with. My voice is valid. Maybe this is where I need to be. So that's how I kind of went to the directing. And to be honest, I never looked back. I really love that spotlight. Even my friends once saw me, my best friends once saw me on set, and they were like, this is your natural habitat, this is your environment, this is where you belong.
Actually have the character of a director.
So that's the
Like
thing.
you.
Exactly. And but the thing is, that's the thing, as a director, you're always, every new project you're always nervous about. You're always not sure whether you're going to be leading your team properly, and that's why it's all about collaboration and to talk. And that's what I love about directing. You get to know every section of the film, and you get to be able to collaborate with the people in every section of the film, and it's a beautiful thing. The only thing that I needed to learn is, even though I have an idea, it doesn't mean that it's always right. I needed to compromise to meet the expectation of the audience and the expectation of my team as well. And that's something that I learned early on, and I took it with me till now, and I'm still learning. And that's why I love learning from people like you who are coming into the industry with fresh ideas, fresh perspective. And yeah, it's just an exciting time for filmmaking, especially with the introduction of AI and the introduction of so many filmmakers coming from the region itself and the films that they're showcasing abroad as well.
Well, you actually answered part of our next question, which was like you have worked on projects in UAE and abroad as well. So, how those different environments influence your directing style?
Well, it's very interesting because I look at every culture as a single piece in the sense that when I was in the UK, I did British films. I did things that resonate with the British audience, with the Western audience, and that does not really necessarily translate to the values of where I come from, for example. But I needed to make it true for their audience. So I delved into stories like love, like identity, like, you know, coming of age storylines that talked about what those, you know, cultures and societies will be going through. And I had to put myself in that. Recently, I actually finished wrapping up 2 short Indian films in Mumbai. I just actually picture locked one of them and I'm editing myself the other one. And for that stories, I needed to delve into their culture, but also their language and the language barrier because I don't talk Hindi properly. Like I'm learning still, but I made a fully Hindi dialogue driven story about 2 brothers. And for that one, I just needed to make sure that the emotions came out, that I collaborated with the actors themselves. The actors helped me with the dialogue. I collaborated with the whole team. I was the only foreigner in the team. So for me, it's like, is this right? Like I needed to rely on my AD to make sure. But for that, I need to also research. Research is a big part of filmmaking, whereas you needed to hold on to the cultural and societal integrity of the place you're talking about. Every character has their own background, and whatever background you place them in, you need to make sure that it's done out of, and the situation that they go through, it's not done out of love, respect, and integrity. It has to have their integrity still there. It has to resonate with their audience first before putting it abroad and resonates with the universal. So I need to make sure the stories I come up with for different regions resonates with their background, their tradition, their culture. It's not about, for me, it's not about shock factor. It's about how to bring out the best stories out of that area because I loved the people, I love the culture, I love the tradition. And that's where Noor, for example, it's about Syria. It's about the Syrian people. It's about what they went through. I went through a lot of research, going through documentaries about made by Syrians, going through news articles, researching everything, every single aspect to make sure that whatever I put out there tells the true story of the people's struggle, not the politics, not the religion, none of that. I stay away from those 2 subjects. I talk about humanity. And how can I do that while honoring those people and their struggle, at the same time making sure that people also resonate and I resonate and I don't lose, the essence of the film by making it universal as well. So that's kind of like how I work with filmmaking. I love cultural exchange. Cross-cultural films are one of the best ways of telling stories. We live in a beautiful city that holds over 200 nationalities, but we don't see those nationalities on screen. And that's basically what I'm doing in my next feature, bringing all those communities together because that's where we live. That's the truth of where our society is heading. And that's what I love doing. So that's what I look out for when I'm doing those stories. That's what I try to portray in my stories. And yeah, sharing a voice that not many people has seen, maybe from my perspective, but from other people's, but it's also authentic to their voice as well.
Well, actually, Noor, as we mentioned earlier, is an award-winning script. So, but you didn't release that yet. So, how this experience like?
So basically, Noor was actually one of the first scripts I've ever written. It was part of my university course. It was my master's course. Yeah, exactly. So I was actually, before I wrote Noor, I was actually working in radio. I was a reporter in Dubai Eye 103.8. And during that time is when 2013, 2015, that's when the war erupted and the situation really intensified. And I remember I was head deep into it because I was in the news section of the radio. And basically when I went to university and they told me you need to write a script, the first thing that came to mind was, this is a script that I really want to write. I want to write a story about the struggle of the people, not the politics, not the religion. Take that out, what happens to the people. And so I started researching a lot. Brandon Staten had Humans of New York. He's a photographer that talks about people's stories through pictures. And he did a 2-week expose about Syrian refugees that came to Lagos in Greece. I think it was Greece, yeah. And basically, I was reading all about it, reading their stories, and really resonated because I was like, what if I was in their place? What would have happened if I was there? And so I started writing a 16-page script about two brothers who were kind of pulled apart because of the war and how each person's struggle was. And when I finished it, I was like, I really want to see how people, like, is this a valid voice? Is this something that people want to see? So I started putting it in festivals. And that's the best way. I always recommend people who have scripts, who have something that they're not sure, but they want to see, to expand on or to see people's opinions on. And maybe to get funding, you want to showcase that the script actually will get into festivals. Put your script into festivals. There's so many festivals out there, from Coverfly to Film Freeway, that allows you to put scripts into festivals and get feedback from professionals into it. You don't have to pay tons of money for it. If you want to, you can, but there's also free festivals out there. So it's always worth a try. And that's how I knew that my 16-page script has to be enhanced into a deeper kind of storyline, and that's what I did, and it won as that new feature. And then now I'm expanding a bit more, and now I'm looking, because it had so many positive reviews online. I even had a producer from America who come upon my script, and he wanted to be part of my project. He actually, we met up and we discussed about collaborating with him to create this film, but it wasn't the right fit at the time, because I really wanted to make it with Syrian actors from Syria, and I also wanted to make it with some refugees. So for that, I need to bring in, keep it Middle Eastern. So I'm looking for the Middle Eastern side of producers, if you know any. But basically, that's what I'm doing right now. Now I'm getting funding for it to make it. But this is not going to be my second feature, because it's a very intense film. So hopefully it's going to be my third or fourth one.
Hopefully. So Maitha, as an Emirati woman, or even Arabic woman in the Middle East, filmmaking hasn't always been seen as the traditional career path. So did you face any stereotypes or messages like this is not for you or this is not for you, your place, and how did you prove yourself in this industry?
Well, that's a very interesting one, because I actually never had backlash regarding that. I never had people coming to me or messaging me or slipping in my DMs and saying, you're in the wrong place. This is a man's world, not a woman's world, which is false, by the way, because filmmaking always had a woman involved. Editing was a woman's job, not a man's, because women were very precise in identifying details. And for editing back in the day, you actually have those films and you need to chop it out very precisely. So that actually, editing was always been a woman's kind of role, not a man's role. Then later on, it changed. But basically, I remember when I first started thinking of going to media, my mom was a bit hesitant. It was back in 2006. Back then, Emirati women in media weren't seen as a positive light, because you're showing yourself on screen. I didn't want to do that. I want to be behind the camera. But still, being on set with so many male colleagues wasn't seen as something that families wanted to embrace. It's happening right now with acting, but slowly changing. But basically, that was the only hesitancy. But by the time I graduated, my mom, things have changed, evolved, and my mom was actually the one who was encouraging me to pursue it more. My grandma actually it's very funny. My grandma was gave me a challenge. She was like, I'm not saying you're a director until I see a feature, or I see your film on TV, or I see something of yours on TV. Then I will tell people, yes, my granddaughter is a director. And I was like, okay, I'll work on that. And that's when Al-Eid Eidin came out, my grandma was like, that's my daughter. That's my granddaughter. She is a director. Yes, she's the director. So now my granny actually is part of my sets, because she lends me her house for filming a lot. A lot of my films happen there. And she's always there sipping her tea and saying action and cut and just gossiping in the background. But basically, the positive reviews, the positive feedback, the positive encouragement from everyone that I've received was something that I didn't expect. A lot from my male colleagues, a lot of from male strangers who would come in and say, I'm so proud to see an Arab woman behind the camera. I'm so proud to see women doing this. And obviously, more women and girls are also embracing it because they're seeing someone like me, someone like Nail Khaja, someone like, Zainab Shaheen, someone like, like all of these amazing, fantastic female directors coming from this region. It's encouraging for the next generation. I think that actually UAE might have more Emirati female directors than male directors, because that's what I've seen so far. But and that's something so encouraging. The one thing I would say though, I need to see more Emirati female actresses. I need to see more Emirati female DOPs, editors. I want to see them on, behind the camera or in front of the camera, because directing is one thing, but being able to handle a camera and having a female lens through that, or in editing, or actually embracing a character, we really need that. We're really struggling, especially from the teen to early 30s age group for actresses. We really need to do that. And I always say you need to trust that us as filmmakers, we will never push you to do something that you're not comfortable with. We're always making sure that whatever we put on screen is something that is culturally sensitive, that is culturally appropriate, that is something that you will have a say in as well, because you're going to read the part. And if you don't like something, please flag it up, because we're all about collaboration. At least I am. And I will never push my actresses or actors to do something that they're not comfortable with, because it's a two-way street. I always say the writer comes up with the character, and gives it life. The director gives it vision, like the look and shape and everything that comes with it, the mannerisms, the personality. But then the actor gives it the soul. And the soul is very important. Without the actors, we can't do anything. And that's why directors and actors have to always collaborate and always be communicating with each other, because sometimes the director is more visual, but the actor is more personal. And we need that kind of blend into the film.
Well, actually, many people confuse the director with the script writer and assume that the director always comes up with the idea. Like, it happens sometimes, like for example, you, but it's not always that the case. So, in your own words, how do you define the role of a director? Like, how does it differ?
So it's interesting because I actually write and direct. But Al Eid Eidain, for example, was written by Sarah Sayegh, an amazing Emirati writer. I love her to bits. Me and her synced so well there that nowadays, when I come up with ideas, I was like, Sarah's gonna write it. And I'm working with her on several projects right now. But the thing is, it's very hard. It's very hard being a writer and a director at the same time, because you need to, when you're writing, you need to think as a writer, not as a director. But it's very hard because you're also visualizing what you want to film. But when you get onto set, you need to stop being a writer and be a director. Because if you start being a writer and a director on set, you're confused the two parts. And then it becomes a tougher job to actually accomplish the vision. And I always suggest that if you are a writer-director, on set, always bring someone who is a script supervisor or contingency specialist, or someone or another script writer, just like a script doctor that you worked with maybe to just refine your script, to come on board to lead that script side. It's always nice to have a script writer on set, because they would always make sure that you don't mess with this dialogue on set with the actors, or you don't change something that will affect the edit. Because when you put your director hat on, you don't think about how it will impact the story, you're thinking about how it impact that scene. But in the edit is when you really would see the misalignments, and then what that causes you is to go and reshoot. Means you're spending more money, which producers don't like, and you yourself as a director don't want either, because it might take money from post-production into production, and you really need the post. So basically, I always say, for me personally, I prefer not writing if I can help it. I come up with the idea sometimes because I resonate with a story, but I prefer someone else writing it, or I write with someone, just for the fact that I want to concentrate on the directing side of things, and I don't want to worry about the writing, because writing needs discipline. while directing needs vision. So I love the directing side. It's fun for me. But the writing side, for to sit on hours to write, you really need to have someone who's really focused. And a lot of people who are directing writing can do both because they're always split between different projects. So it takes a longer time. So if you have an idea out there and you really want to write it, but you don't have time to write it, I would say give it to someone you trust and co-write it, or be involved in the writing process, but don't do it yourself, because in the end when you're directing, you won't be a writer on that set too. You'll only be a director. So you need someone there to help you make sure that your flow is not disrupted by any new ideas on set, by either you, your DOP, your actor. So always make sure that happens. But if it's a short film, go for it. If it's a feature, it's a struggle. If it's a series, it's a struggle. You have to decide what role you want to be, and you have to decide early on, because once you get into productions, there's no looking back.
Yeah, true. So cultural authenticity is a very thin line in film. So for example, in your film Alaida Then, how did you maintain the cultural authenticity within a comedy set while keeping the film accessible to a wider or global audience?
That was a very hard one to do, to be honest, because I needed to learn about the different cultures within Saudi Arabia. And I also found out that Abu Dhabi accents are different than Dubai accents. I did not know that. Because to me, it all sounds the same. I know Fujairah, Al Ain has a different, like a bit more prominent accents, but Abu Dhabi, Dubai, I always thought the same. So for me, it was also getting to know, and I always say this, Al Ain made me re-fall in love with my culture, because it made me rediscover my culture and what's appropriate and what's not. But it also made me fall in love with Saudi culture and learn, because my sister is married to a Saudi man, but she's from Jeddah, and they're from Jeddah, and my nephew right now, he's talking in that accent. My sister's starting talking to the accent, so I'm learning a lot from how Jeddawis talk. But I didn't know that Jeddah dialect is different from Riyadh. I didn't know that some cultural aspects of, what do you call it, traditions in Eid are different. For me, it's always been a family unity of men and women together in a household, having lunch, and then men leaving, and then women staying. But in other cultures, the men are segregated and women are segregated, or they don't sit together even though they're present together. So it's always very fun finding these things. But also, the biggest challenge was actually, what do Saudi women wear for Eid? What does Emirati women wear for Eid? I know what Emirati women wear for Eid, but what about Saudi women? Do they wear the same? I'm not sure. So that's kind of something that I had to learn. So it's the tiny details of outfits, of mannerisms, of dialects, of locations, because we filmed everything in Abu Dhabi. Sorry, I'm just gonna put this in a bit closer. I think that was a bit too far. So it's all about, like, also finding out about the locations. What does Khobar look like compared to Riyadh, compared to Abu Dhabi? Because we filmed in Abu Dhabi. How do we make it look like Khobar? And all of that was something that I collaborated with my main actor, Fahd al-Bateri, because he's also a writer and he's a comedian. And he was my go-to for the cultural appropriation. But at the same time, I also needed to make sure it's funny. It's appropriate but funny. And for me, everything's funny. So it was very hard to film something when I'm laughing at everything. And I'm like, wait, would the audience laugh with me or not? But also, it's the balance between drama and comedy. I would say that was the hardest thing, because in the original cut of the film, we actually had more drama in Act 3. And we removed it because we went by showing it to some audience, a select audience in Riyadh and in Abu Dhabi. And we had kids. And we realized that we were losing the kids, because this is a family film for kids, made for kids, showcasing kids. And it has to be funny for them, but also appropriate in terms of how much drama, how much comedy, how much lighthearted it should be. And that was something I learned that was new for me, because I'm looking at it from an adult lens. I need to look at it from a kid's lens, and I didn't know that until the kids came back to me and told me what they thought about it. It was a very fun experience, because Act 3 apparently was more drama for them than it was for us as adults. And then I realized that, looking at it from a kid's perspective, if I went by the way that the edit was, it was more about the parent struggle, and there was about one of the children felt that it was his fault. And I remember, when you're in your childhood, you see your parents fight, And then you think, wait, are they fighting because of me because I said something inappropriate and that's what led to their breakup or that's led to their fight? It's a very hard thing. And if a child is seeing that in the cinema, reflecting something that's in his real life, then it will affect that child, and he would not experience, would not like the film, and he would not have get an enjoyment of this film. So that was something that I needed to look at as well from a child's lens, and reflect back to kind of my personal experiences as well. But also, the beautiful part of Al-Eid Eidain is hearing children say, I see myself in this. I finally see a film that I relate to. You know, that was something beautiful. But I remember one of the funniest comments. I want to mention this because it was hilarious. When we were doing the audiences, and there was a part that the mom was crying. And I remember when asking to the kids, I was like, what part did you like the most? And then there was two boys. I was like, I liked when the mom was crying. I was like, that was a weird comment. Like, why do you like that? But that's the thing. Kids are just the straightforward, very honest creatures, and the things that come out of their mouth is so hilarious. But how did I know that I was doing, going back to the question, how did I know I was making sure that the cultural appropriation there, the cultural integrity was still there? When I was editing the film, when I was going back and forth with the edit, my grandma was with me and she was actually seeing the film. And every time she hears the film, she comes and sits and she enjoys it. And she watches a lot of dramas. She watches a lot of TV. And she was like, I love this film. It's so fun. It's so nice. I enjoy it. And she keeps watching it. And she tells people about it. That's when I knew that the older generation finds something in it that is culturally resonating. And the kids are finding something in it. And the adults obviously find something in it. And I think that's how it happened. But obviously, when it comes to comedy, you don't know if it's funny or not until you try it out and you test it with the audience. And every time people were laughing, I was like, okay, thank God. This is something that's funny, because I lost the humor in it. But that's how it is. It's very comedy, horror are the hardest genres to go into. Yeah. And I know we love horror because, guys, if you haven't checked it out, go check out Hoba by Majid Al-Ansari. A fantastic horror film that came out. Bob as well, Nail Khaj is coming out soon, so check that out. Those are Emirati horror stories that are very culturally appropriate, but at the same time, very hard to make, and they made it really nice. Like, I'm looking forward to Bob, but Hoba was beautifully done, and I think that delving into those two kind of genres is a challenge that directors, whoever takes it, will either make or break your career. Because if you can't make people laugh or you can't make people scare, you lose the audience and you lose your own kind of integrity in it as well. So if you're going for a comedy, if you're going for a horror film, research and make sure that you have a lot of prep time, not just before the film, but post-production as well. When you finish a film, showcase it to people. See if people actually find it funny or find it horrific, because that's when you really know if you're making a good film or not.
Yeah, like you also need to do the research about the audience as well, not only the story. So
exactly, because it's the audience that matters in the end. You're putting a piece of yourself out there. You don't want to have a bad reception, but you can't control that. But the way you can is by showcasing to a group of people and getting their feedback. You don't have to apply everything, but at least now you know what works and what doesn't work with them, and test it out twice or 3 times before you finalize your film. And that's that's for the features, but you can do it for the shorts as well. That's my advice to every filmmaker out there if they're going into two of the hardest genres, which is comedy and horror.
So you are both a director and the writer, or co-writer sometimes, which gives you a bigger creative vision for the film. So how do you balance your creative freedom with the practical realities of the production? Like the budget, locations, and those
I rely
stuff.
on my producer for that. That's why I don't produce. The logistics of production is something that I cannot get my head across. Not because I've never done it. I've done it for commercials. I've done it for some of the films that I've done, like the shorts specifically. But I don't like logistics. I like the creativity. And when you are creative, you lose track of what the budgets, basically, especially if you're doing an indie film. And the best method I apply to, if I know it's an indie film that I might not get the budget I need, is isolate it.
After like all the work you have done, what keeps you inspired to continue directing like in this field? And what advice would you give to someone new to this field?
After everything I've gone through, actually, losing hope was something that was happening at some point. Because looking at this, as I said, looking at this region, looking at how filmmaking has been progressing, it's a it's it wasn't progressing at that time. Like I'm talking about 2022, 2021, like 2026, 2016 to 2021, COVID, everything that happened. I wasn't seeing anything happening here, and I was like, when, like, is it really going to work out? You know, directing films, fiction. So is this the right path? I still want to do that, but will I be able to? That's why I kept myself in agency life and commercials and doing client work like that. But I was actually almost giving hope. I was trying to push myself to do more shorts, just to be creative, to get that out there, because it's harder to do it here than to do it abroad. In the UK, it was so easy. You didn't need that many permits. You didn't need that much funding to do something. You can do crowdfunding. You have a group of friends that you do work with. Here, it was different because I came back. I didn't have that click. I didn't have that network of people. And it was very hard because everyone wanted to make money, because it's a very expensive lifestyle here, and everyone needed to support their lives and their way of living. And majority of people here are not native, therefore they need to have income to continue living here. So it was very hard to do that when you're also trying to work in your day-to-day 9 to 5 job, and you can't do two things sometimes, and you need to really prioritize or schedule or make time and kill yourself to do it. So I was like, what am I supposed to do? So to be honest, the inspiration and the hope of doing that was getting lost. I was almost going to give up, and then suddenly I get the email from Sarah telling me that, hey, we want to talk to you about a project. In my head, it was a short film. I was like, it's okay. It's short film. I'm finally going to do another short film. I'm so excited. Okay, great. I'm more than happy to talk. Let's talk. And then we scheduled the meeting. We talked about it. I still thought it was a short film. And she was like, okay, I'm going to send you the script. I was like, okay, great. And I was like, Mom, I'm going to get a script. I'm so excited. I think I'm going to be doing a short film. It's going to be fun. I hope that I can take time off to do it. And then I saw the script, and it was a feature. And my, like, the disbelief and the excitement level went up. I was like, Mom, it's a feature. And I read it in one go straight away. Like, I downloaded it and read it straight away. And I remember laughing and crying and just saying that, oh my God, I want to do this. But at the same time, I was like, oh my God, it's a comedy. It's a comedy. I don't want to do a comedy because it scared me. It's a hard genre to do, right? So I was like, oh, the first feature comedy. I don't know if I'm going to get it either, because I need to audition for it. I need to interview for the part of the director, because I didn't get it yet. I need to showcase how I envision it. And if it resonates with them, it's a go. But then when I got it, alhamdulillah, I got it. They tell me I need to do a proof of concept, which is a short scene, one scene from the film. So I need to do that in 2 days. Like, I need to do it in 1 month, film it in 2 days. So I did that, and I was like, I wasn't sure. I've never been on set for a long time. I need to assert. I haven't done Arabic directing in Arabic before very well, and I had children as well. So what am I supposed to do? I did it before, but the children were my family members. I just had to direct, the amazing actress Fatma Hosseini, who doesn't need directing, to be honest, and Ahmed Abdelrazak. So that's the only two people that kind of were the Arabic actors that I need to direct. Everyone else spoke in English. They were family members. I didn't need to speak to them in other languages. So this is a pure Arabic film. I need to talk in Arabic. I need to direct in Arabic. Do I do it? Can I do it? And then I did it. And that's the thing where I said directors always question themselves. I feel like good directors question themselves on set. But then when they're on set, they know how to run it. It's not about questioning every single turn. It's knowing what they want and going for it. But there's a bit of like fear of l- bringing people down with them, because everyone relies on them. They're the say. So when you lead, you need to lead with conviction, but also knowing that anything that you might not know or anything that you're hesitant about, you can always discuss it with the team. So I did that one and it did very well. And then they greenlit it and they were like, okay, we need you for 3 months or 4 months. And I was like, I have a 9 to 5 job. What am I supposed to do with that? So I talked to my CEO. He was so amazing. He was so happy for me, but he did say something. He was like, you need to tell the company, because I was the head of production, so I can't just leave. So he was for unpaid leave for that long. So he was like, you need to tell us why. The company needs to know why you can take that time off. For what reason? How would they benefit? I was like, I don't know. How would they benefit? So then I needed to decide, should I risk it for the biscuit? No, should I risk it for should I risk my whole career, my whole life, my income, my whole way of living for the last 10 years, which is a 9 to 5 job, steady living, steady income, because I have loans, I have obligations, and take this plunge into my dream or not? It was a very hard decision, and I did it. With the help of Imagination, of course, we came up with the agreement that helped us both ways. That really helped me with the first year of there, because now I'm a full-time freelancer. It's very hard being a freelancer, but because I did it once, I know I can do it again. And because I did it and I realized how much I loved it and how much that gave me hope and how much that is my future. Like, I'm very convinced this is what I need to do. I'm taking the plunge further into continue doing a freelance gig, even though being a freelancer in UAE is not easy. You really need to push yourself out there. You need to chase after every single income, every single project yourself. So going back to it, you can't lose hope. For anyone out there who is in this situation, struggling to make a career out of filmmaking, you will see times where you lose hope. You're thinking to yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I pursuing this profession that has millions of other people doing the same thing, who have actually have gone into it and have created, a brand for themselves, have created a more of a face, a more of a name, a more of a bigger and better portfolio than I do. I'm a newcomer. Why am I doing this one? Why am I pushing myself so hard to be recognized as a filmmaker, to be given gigs, to be given the chance to make an impact, for a producer to see me and say, yes, this is the right director for my film, this is the right writer, this is the right filmmaker, this is the right actor? Because actors as well, that's a big struggle here, right? So how can I continue doing something that is not feeding me? Especially for the filmmakers out there who come to the UAE to chase a dream, but the dream is not getting any closer, and they need to make a life, like they need to make a living, because they can't stay here without it. It's, as I said, UAE is a very expensive place to live, so everywhere is, but here specifically. So how can you do that? I would say it's not easy. You need to really, really love what you're doing to be able to be in it. You need to really push yourself out there. You can't be introverted. You really need to be your own PR and marketing team. You need to be your own spokesperson. You need to be your own hype man. You need to be your own assistant. You need to be your own producer. You need to be your own everything. Because in the beginning, nobody else will help you but yourself. You need to always go to these events, and that's very hard. Because if you have a day job, it's very hard to commit to other obligations, to go and communicate and interact with people when you've had a very tough day at work and you're still working. Because if you're in media and you're working in media as well, there's no time off. There's 24 hours on the go, on emails, on WhatsApp, on everything. It's a hard thing. It's a hard struggle. But if you really want it, if you really want to use this, and I will say this one because I've been telling this to my friends as well who are in day jobs. And I should have done this myself, by the way. Your days off, you have 25 days or 20 days of annual leave. Use those days to make your film. Use those weekends of yours to create. Use those free workshops, the AFS workshops, to collaborate with other people to enhance your exposure. The workshops that you see in AUD and SAE and all of these institutes, go for them. Go to these events like the film festivals that are happening here. Go to these events like Minds, like, anything that's happening in the creative labs, imaginations, in the universities itself, when they have like festivals, when they have something, go watch, go talk, go expand your horizon, network. Go to these panels that talk about filmmaking or talk about the industry and media. Go get a QR code, have your portfolio written done, have your things ready, and go promote yourself. Push yourself out there. And if you don't have time to make a film, make a reel. Build your Instagram page. Make a short Instagram, vertical short series. Make that show, like, make those shows on your reels, on your Instagram. Build your Instagram page. That's the future. That's how people are getting it. Actors, if you can't get the role that you want, create that role. That's how they're doing it back in the globe right now, and that's how we need to do it here. It's not an easy thing. I will say it. Reach out to people, talk to people, reach out to them, say, hey, I want to enter into your film. I want to be part of it. I don't care what I'm doing. I just want to be on set with you. Can you please put me in the set of your next project? I want to collaborate. The worst thing they can say is no. The second worst thing they can say is not respond at all. But you never know. Someone might say, you know what? I actually need an extra pair of hands. If you're available, let's do it. So do those things, and I think that hopefully, if this is something you really want and this is something you really are passionate about, you will get there. Persistence, care, and commitment to what you love is the thing. But never lose your passion, because once you lose your passion, it becomes all about the next paycheck. It becomes all about frustration. It becomes all about corporate, and you don't want that.
Maitha, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your journey with us today here on Unscripted. It was truly inspiring to hear your perspective as a director. And to everyone listening, thank you for tuning in Unscripted. Don't forget that we still have 3 more episodes coming